This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Anna McAfee. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm very well, Angel, although it's actually daytime for me.
Yes, okay. You know, what part of the world are you in right now?
So I'm in Australia, in a small-ish city on the east coast called Coffs Harbour. But for many of your listeners, Australia will be enough to know.
Well, do tell us, Anna, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
So my talent, I would say, that connected us is the talent of connecting, because I was referred to you by a LinkedIn connection of mine, whom I know quite well and have met once in person. So it's probably the talent of connecting with others that has connected us.
Yeah, you said that right there, and I'm intrigued by what the process looks like now in networking. You said, who is my LinkedIn connection, who I met personally, which it would have probably been in the past. I met that person personally, and now they're connected to me on social media, yeah?
Well, I think we were connected on social media first, and then we connected in real life.
Okay, it's amazing how it works now, isn't it?
It is.
So tell me a bit more. How did you learn how to be that person who trusts in your inner circle?
In terms of connecting, I suppose practice makes perfect, doesn't it? You just learn to build relationships with people over time.
Is there anyone in your family that functions on that level where they're willing to interconnect within their networks and trust them?
I think so, yeah. My father is very interested in people, as I am. So I think that certainly helps. Meeting new people and getting to know other people is something that I think we both do well. And so it was probably a skill that was not necessarily intentionally taught to me, but it was something that I certainly picked up over time.
There's a saying that more is caught than taught, yeah, with children.
I'd agree with that.
I totally as well. Well, do tell me about this LinkedIn trainer and speaker thing that you do, please.
Well, I came from a recruitment background pre-social media, and I used to train recruiters on how to use databases and sourcing and that type of thing, a lot of IT training. And then lo and behold, in around about 2008, I think LinkedIn hit the mainstream, and suddenly there was live data, and that for the recruitment industry was a pretty big deal. So I think I've probably been dipping my toe in the water into LinkedIn ever since, and for a sort of fully fledged training on it for the last 4 years.
Wow, it's powerful, isn't it, the LinkedIn platform?
It is powerful, yes.
All right. Now, where's the best place for someone that wants to reach out to you to help them with that, to connect with you?
Well, LinkedIn, it's where I spend most of my virtual time. So LinkedIn is the place to be, although I am on most of the other platforms as well. But you'll get a quicker response from me on LinkedIn.
Faster than email, yeah?
Possibly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Tell me one other thing, Anna, that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
So it's probably fairly, well, a whole life-wise rather than just work-related. I am a mum of 2 kids, so I have been mothering consistently for the last 3 years. My daughter is 5 and my son is 3. So I've had 2 kids for the last 3 years to raise and love and cherish.
How does it make you feel looking back now on the journey and where you've reached, right? How does it make you feel?
Proud and a little emotional. It's an interesting week you've caught me, because my 5-year-old started school this week, literally 2 days ago, and that the emotion and the reflection of that past 5 years actually caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting to feel particularly emotional about it, but it turned out I really was about, a daughter starting kindergarten and going off into the world of education turned out to be a big deal. But yes, it's been a stressful few years, certainly, but a very rewarding few years.
Did she cry?
She didn't, no. I did.
I had a similar experience. So I remember my wife and I carrying my first son to kindergarten, and because of our job times, we needed to do the daycare, right? So it was like we would drop him off, so he'll be in daycare first, and then the school was located right next door. So it's in the same yard, so it's like interconnecting gates, so they just walk them across, yeah? And this guy drops out, goes into the daycare, and starts playing with the playpen area, and then waves to us, like waves by. And we're driving away after, and I'm asking Amanda, did we do something wrong with him? Why am I feeling as though I want to cry because I'm leaving my son and he's waving happily, and I think it's a good indication though of the strength that we've given them. What do you think?
Absolutely, I think so. That's a really nice way to put it. My daughter was ready 2 hours early before school, dressed, backpack on, ready to go. And I said, sweetie, school doesn't start for another 2 hours. She was like, oh, okay. What will I do now? So, yes, it does take strength to have that mindset as a 5-year-old. So that's a really nice way to put it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Given that this is fresh, why would you still suggest to someone that's listening that they do raise their children where they do have that capacity to, to hand over, if you would, so gracefully? Look,
I think the world's changing, and it's not easy being human, is it? Life will throw you curveballs, and even as a child, it will do that. I'm sure most of us would say that there was at least some experiences in our school years that weren't particularly pleasant. So I think acknowledging that we're all going to have some unpleasant experiences and building some strength in order to get through those is what we need to teach and encourage.
Love it. Amazing audience. Again, you're hearing it live from Anna McAfee. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. Anna, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Anna, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is of camping in Australia, and there were these very large, I'd probably say maybe 1.5 meter lizards that we call goannas here. And I remember a couple of those coming and trying eating food at the campsite. And that was slightly terrifying.
I would imagine. How old do you think you were?
3 or 4.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I think it's fear, actually. It's it's an early memory of being scared or having something very unusual in my environment. So I think that's why it's my first memory.
How do you see that memory, even that fear, connecting to who you are today?
I'm not sure. I've always had a problem with snakes since then, but not lizards, surprisingly. So I'm not sure that fear is interconnected, but I'm not a particularly big fan of camping anymore. I never really have been. Maybe that's the reason. I've never thought about that.
All right, my friend, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song at 12, which was 1992 in Australia, would have been a Kylie Minogue song called Locomotion, which I think was Kylie's first song. And I'm fairly sure most 12-year-olds were listening to that in Australia. So that would have to be my standard answer for that everybody would give who's Australian and my age.
Right, I'll definitely check that out. I know where we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Sure.
Anna, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
I haven't actually thought about this question before you asked it, but I would say my children, because we want to pass any skills, particularly if they're soft skills, I think particularly if they're valuable soft skills to our children. But I haven't thought about that beyond my family, actually. That's a very interesting question.
Are you married?
I am, yes. I've been married for, yes.
Sure. You could go
11 years. 11 years.
10 plus 11 years. 11 years. Okay, 11 years.
I had to count back.
Yeah, it's cool. Usually the men have that challenge.
No, it is 11. It is 11.
All right, so you're married. You have 2 children. Do you believe in God?
I do, yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I have a lot of close friends around me. I don't necessarily think of them as a circle. They often don't necessarily know one another and from different walks of life. But yes, they're a circle, I guess, to me, if they aren't a circle in themselves.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Maybe 3 hours a week if you include a film in that.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Oh, less than 8 hours a day, yes. I introduced the screen time function on my iPhone for social media for 2 hours a day. And I probably do more than that whilst I'm on desktop and try and stick to 2 hours on the phone. But given my business is social media, I do need to spend a bit of time there. But it certainly eats into life, and I've had to put some boundaries on that.
All right, Anna. If you had to share with us your own unique, real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Anna McAfee, what would you say that is?
The statement, and I'm not sure, I feel it's not my statement, but the statement that I live by is, if you have the opportunity, build a bigger table, not a taller fence. And that's very much with the idea. I do a lot of community building online and offline. And that to me is a statement about inclusivity and welcoming others, and about building bigger tables for people and not fences to shut others out. And it's a statement I live by. I'm not sure that it's unique to me. It's not my quote. But as soon as I heard it, it became part of, I think, who I was and who I am.
My friend says, once you say it 3 times, it's yours.
Oh, well, then definitely it's mine.
Yours. There we go. Love it. Yeah, in the Caribbean, I would say build a bigger table and have food on it. Yeah, and then
yes,
the communities and food, just go hand in hand. Yeah. Well, Anna, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, I would say in life, just probably to wrap up our discussion, be more human, be open to opportunities and experiences, and welcoming of others. It's got me, I think, to a good place in life, and I hope with that advice others can get somewhere with that too.
Love it. Anna McAfee, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you so much, Angel.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.